one. And the head of state, the president, accepted that the government will bear the costs of all this to have enough time to actually allow many other leaders to talk on Friday and give him a befitting send-off.
Thank you, Chairman Meli. The families of our brothers, Nick, Amos, Captain George. And I'll ask all members of parliament who are here. I will invite our whip who will come and lead us in a song. So,
have faith because God is going to give you another provider from amongst you. Who was the only breadwinner and the hope of the family. Don't worry. God took him. God is going to give you another breadwinner, another hope. When I was reviewing what we call the division list of the house, which is something we do every Monday, it became apparent to me that life is so fickle. We have faith that God is going to give us another great leader from amongst the people of Emuradikil so that that vacancy does not last. Of you, strength, particularly those who are from.
Thank you, PS Hinga, on behalf of PSS and the Ministry of Housing.
Na huyu chairman, the only memories I have of him and you all know, because you're Kenyans, it was a very difficult journey. You know, not many people will have with in the in 2024 for Mashujaa Day. I wore a pink shirt na nilikuwa nimesweat. And Kenyans, you know, kwa mtandao are very unforgiving. So picha yangu ilipigwa na ikatembea. He found a way of just creating a lot of humor. But wisdom. So when we did the markets that we're doing over 400 markets in this country. The way we procured the markets, we procured them in and for Kericho, went to one very lazy contractor. Now, when you have a cluster of 3 markets in one county and you have a lazy contractor, you have a big problem because it is not just one project which is problematic, it is 3. And this was his backyard. A lot of noise coming from that end. So the chairman one day called me and he said, Hinga, unajua, yule contractor is very lazy. Mkutano, a few of them. In the meeting, akasema, mnajua huyu jamaa? Akasema, of course unamjua ni PS. Mnajua jina yake? Akasema, huyu si ni Hinga. Akasema, hapana. Huyu jamaa jina yake ni Charles Kibet. Akasema, wakauliza anaitwa Kibet kwa nini? Akasema, akaniambia, wewe Hinga, kutoka leo ili upendekeze kwa wao watu, wewe ni Mkipsigis kwa sababu umewao watu wetu. So he had a great sense of humor. So I will just say to Naya and the young children and your family, poleni sana. I just can't imagine the grief that you're dealing with. Has been broken. Nothing will be the same again. But as God calls us one by one, that chain will link again. Chairman, may your memory is ever lost. Fare thee well, Chairman, and all the departed. Asanteni sana, God bless you.
Thank you, PS. We indulge. I've worked in the ministry with Chairman Ngeno. I want to ask all members of the National Prayer Breakfast team in the National Assembly, our usual Wednesday fellowship team, to make your way to the front. And we'll ask all the other members to please just stand up in your place where we are so that we may condole the family with a song that will be and whip.
You know, on Wednesday, we usually have the fellowship. And in honor of our late colleagues, Lord, that you gave us, Jesus, to even share, Lord, a moment of leadership and the privilege, Father, to share a platform of leadership in the National Assembly with
Ubi, yes, Connie, and there's somebody there. Oh, yeah. That's Esio Kenyuri, if I'm not wrong. Yes, that's Edita. She's as tall as me. That's why I was. These gallant men that lay before us here this morning, people that I have known of his leadership. I knew Mheshimiwa Ngeno in 2015. I think like Mheshimiwa Meli had said, had just been granted the ticket for the Jubilee Party. And they came that by-election. Of course, things went the way they went. And we finished that by-election. I joined them in Parliament. Go to 2017, I went to Emuru Adikir to revenge also, to do what politicians do to each other. And we tried our best, but we never hardworking and diligent young man who I wheeled into church this morning in a casket, my good friend Carlos. Carlos was Carlos. Very distinguished also. We may not, maybe many of you may not know him, may not remember him as a leader, but for those of us that have done politics in Emuru Adikir, there were days when without Carlos, you were not guaranteed of doing a political meeting in that constituency. He had a very powerful group of young men that walked around him. I don't recall the exact name they called themselves. But you could not do a political meeting without first consulting with them. And we worked with him very well during that particular campaign. When we finished, so distinguished was Carlos in his work that when we finished, amongst the people that work in this office of the Deputy President. That's how Carlos got himself employed, because of his organization skills. And he worked there for that particular period. And I have known him throughout the years, a very hardworking young person. Perhaps that will be the last time that I would see him alive. So I equally pass my condolence to his family, to his siblings, to his parents, and do promise that the way you requested this morning, Ngeno was. So, and so many other people, this Captain George, I flew with him on Sunday before an enemies in quick. When we were planning the party primaries, we had sent a few of our members to oversee elections in certain constituencies. And Mheshimiwa Kawanjiku was in charge. Mheshimiwa Ngeno became our party.